Tommy's gonna taste the gin so that you don't have to. Let you save your money, yeah, that's what Tommy wants. Minimal dilution, cause we wanna taste the gins. But if the gins are bad, then we will throw them in the bin. Now let's hand it over to Tommy, who is gonna taste. He's gonna get all rowdy and shout up the place.
Hello and welcome back to Tommy Tastes, the channel where I taste the gin so that you don't have to. And today we're going to be trying it as we do every day. Neat. So what will we be trying today? It is the turn of MarGin gin. A pretty confusing name, generally speaking. I'm not really a fan of distilleries that incorporate the term gin into their name. I do like the label of this gin though, which harks back to the white fiver. So if you're up to date with your currency, I'm not quite sure what the collecting of notes is. Yeah, I'm not convinced that notophilists is the best name for banknote collectors either. Let's call them what they are. Dweebs. And I include myself in that. You might be interested in this label on the basis of that harking back to the white fiver, but pretty irrelevant in terms of what a gin is, I suppose. What is there to know about this gin? It's a little bit confusing. The good thing on the website is, and what really endeared me to this gin, is the fact that it really claims that this should be a sipping gin neat. If you like, you can add ice. The problem is, at the final hurdle, it all falls down because they say, just do whatever you want with it, make a cocktail, put in tonic. At the end of the day, there's no wrong way of drinking gin, which is completely true. But you are so close. Have the courage of your convictions to say, just drink it neat. What goes into MarGin? This contains 9 different botanicals, all a secret. I mean, I'm guessing juniper, because it's a fucking gin, but then the 2 that it really leads with is something called pink hyssop, which is notable for its kind of minty herbaceous quality, and cotton lavender, which is also notable for its floral herbaceous qualities. Thus, I guess what we're going to get here is more of a kind of classic gin that's a little more herbal. Whether we're going to get like a lot of citrus notes and freshness, it's difficult to say. And given all of this, I'm starting to think that Alan Titchmarsh gin may have been a better title. After all, who can't drink a gin without cotton lavender and pink hyssop? Ugh. One of the things that I really like about this gin off the bat is the fact that it is 44%. Lovely, strong drinking ABV there. So I'm really excited to get this in the glass and taste. And this week on the Alan Titchmarsh show, we'll be speaking to Pauline Quirk about tarot card readings and the male hysterectomy. So as we can see there, nice clear measure of MarGin. Fuck me. Okay, smell time. And this week on Ground Force, I'll be trying my best not to look at Charlie Dimmock's baps. So it's safe to say this is not the most interesting gin of all time. It's herbaceous, as we mentioned. You do get the juniper on there. It's a bit more juniper forward than anything. Can't say I'm really getting any citrus. I'm getting like a little bit of cumin, a little bit of coriander, so there's that kind of aromatic spice in there. But yeah, a little bit of menthol, but I don't really know how menthol pink hyssop is, so I can't really say a lot on that. You can't really isolate necessarily any of the botanicals. They play a nice supporting role, but it's kind of like classic herbaceous spice. Nothing too interesting. Let's have a bit of a taste. And after the break, I'll be joined by Colleen Nolan, who'll be talking me through her favourite Brookside moments. The good news is that this is a little more interesting on the palate. It's certainly a little sweeter, and it's really quite smooth, mellow. It's one-dimensional, to say the least, which I was hoping for a little more. From a gin that kind of wants it to be drunk neat, you need to have like different layers and complexities, and this is kind of like one flavour. Don't get me wrong, it's a good flavour, but it is very one-dimensional. So let's crack a little bit of ice in there and just see if that changes at all. So they recommend obviously the big ice cube. I don't have big ice here, but I've got a good whack of ice in there. chill filtered gin, as you can see.
We'll also be enjoying music on the 80s show from new pop sensation One Dimension with their brand new single, You Don't Know You're Beautiful.
This gin definitely works better with the ice. It's way more spicy, the juniper comes out much more, and that was one of the things I was actually upset about, the fact that it wasn't more pronounced and prominent with its juniper for something that should be a sipping gin. I think you've really got to lead with the juniper, but it's a nice flavour, again, one-dimensional, but all of the herbaceous notes work well with one another. It's floral, it has a good finish, but it is over a little too quickly for my liking, but it's unmistakably nice. Now let's do what's not immediately recommended by MarGin Gin and just put a splash of tonic in there to see if the tonic's going to bring it to life and add some more complexities to it.
Average.
Nah, not really. It tastes like a gin and tonic, but that's about all you can really say on it. It could be anything at this point. I think it suffers a little from the Kiro dilemma, whereby we talked about supermarket gins and the fact that a supermarket gin gives you just enough to remind you that it's a gin, but then it kind of fades a little too quickly. I think that something like MarGin kind of falls into that category, although I definitely like this more than Kira gin. This is definitely better. This is a 500 milliliter bottle. This cost me £35. That's a lot of money, and it's more expensive than something like Monkey 47, which is a comparable 500 milliliter bottle is. Is it better than Monkey 47? Is it bollocks? I don't know why in this day and age, when gin is such a saturated market, why you would ever go out to make a gin that's kind of like neither here nor there. You've got to be polarizing in one way or the other. For example, I hate gins like Brockman's and Hoxton that use really infantile, unpleasant berry or coconut or just nonsense flavours that make unremarkable gins, but they have the conviction to go with that, and many people think that these gins are the best gins on the market right now. I don't know who in their right mind would ever say that MarGin is their favourite gin. There is nothing to necessarily love about this gin. Don't get me wrong, it's a good gin and a gin that I will happily drink, but there's nothing that noteworthy about it. Ironic on the basis that it says noteworthy here and is obviously a play on words given the white fiver. It is not noteworthy. It is almost instantly forgettable, this gin. That's not to say that this is a mediocre gin. This is a solid, if we're gonna do numbers ratings, 7 out of 10 gin. It's perfectly good, but I would never buy another bottle of this. This is something like the Diageo entry-level range of 12-year-old whiskies. You kind of go to something like Glenfiddich 12 or Talisker 10, for example, or Glenkinchie 12, and you go, okay, that's what the whiskey from this distillery tastes like. And then you go on to try other more exciting things. These are not necessarily for repeat purchase. They're for people to understand whiskey and move on to something else. And when you go to a bar, you recognize the label, blah, blah, blah. This is kind of what MarGin is. I don't know who would repeat purchase this. And I think they're confused as to what their gin is as well. If you look through their Instagram page, it's all about art. It doesn't really say anything about the gin. It's all a little pretentious, all a little bit wanky, and I just don't really get it. Confused is how I feel. Do I like MarGin? Yes, I do like MarGin, but I won't be buying it again.
Yeah, like and subscribe, girl. Like and subscribe. What? Like and subscribe. Work it out. Like and subscribe.